On my 21st birthday, my parents admitted they gave my $3 million college fund to my sister, claiming she needed it more, leaving me with nothing but their betrayal. I'm Ethan Caldwell, 21, from Boise, Idaho, a city of wide skies and tight-knit families, where trust is the currency of relationships. My parents, Mark and Linda, are 54 and 52, the kind of people everyone in our suburban neighborhood leans on. Dad's a high school principal, all stern lectures and pressed slacks. Mom's a nurse, soft-spoken but steely when it matters. They raised me and my sister Rachel, who's 24, with a mix of middle-class grit and big promises. Rachel's always been the star, charismatic, a former cheerleader, now a struggling artist in Portland, forever chasing her next big break. Me? I'm the quiet one, the planner, grinding through community college while pulling night shifts. At a hardware store, every paycheck a step toward transferring to Boise State's engineering program. Growing up, my parents preached fairness. We love you both equally, they'd say. But you're different people with different needs. I bought it, hook, line, and sinker. Rachel always got more attention, more leeway, more everything. When she totaled her car at 17, they bought her a new one. When I needed braces, I paid half from mowing lawns all summer. I didn't complain. I just worked harder, head down, believing their promises. They'd told us about college funds, $3 million each, supposedly from an inheritance my grandpa left. It sounded like a pipe dream for a family like ours, but I clung to it. That money was my ticket to a debt-free degree, a stable career, maybe even a house someday. I assumed Rachel's fund was already gone, spent on her art school and her endless finding herself phases. Still, I never doubted my share was waiting. My 21st birthday was supposed to be a milestone. Mom kept dropping hints about a big surprise, and I let myself hope, maybe the fund paperwork, or at least enough to cover my tuition. I invited them to my cramped apartment for dinner. Nothing fancy, just pizza and a lopsided cake I'd baked myself. Rachel couldn't make it. She was busy in Portland as usual. I didn't mind. This was my night. The apartment smelled of pepperoni and optimism as Mom and Dad sat on my second-hand couch, their faces tight with something I couldn't place. Mom clutched a manila envelope, and my pulse quickened. This is it, I thought. The fun details. I cracked a dumb joke about being too old for a bouncy castle, trying to ease the tension, but their smiles were thin, almost pained. Ethan, Dad started, his voice heavier than I'd ever heard. We need to talk about your future. I nodded, bracing for a lecture about responsibility, but Mom's eyes welled up, and the air shifted. We made a tough choice, she said, voice trembling. You know how Rachel's been struggling, her mental health, her career. I frowned, confused. Yeah, she's always struggling. What's that got to do with me? Dad cleared his throat, avoiding my gaze. Your college fund, we gave it to her. The words didn't land at first. It was like my brain refused to process them. What do you mean, gave? I asked, voice sharp. Like a loan? Mom shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. No, honey, all of it. The $3 million she needed it more. I laughed, a harsh, bitter bark that echoed in the small room. You're joking. You're saying there's nothing left on my birthday? Dad's face hardened, his principled tone kicking in. Don't make this harder than it is. Rachel was in a dark place. She needed therapy, a new apartment, her art supplies. We couldn't let her spiral. Spiral? My voice cracked, loud enough to startle Mom. What about me? I've been killing myself working, saving every dime, while she blows through. My money? Mom reached for my hand, but I yanked it back like her touch burned. Ethan, you're strong, she said, almost pleading. You've always been independent. Rachel, she's fragile. We had to prioritize. Prioritize? I stood, pacing the cramped living room, my hands shaking. You stole my future. You lied to me for years. Was there even a fund for me, or was it always hers? Dad's silence was a gut punch. Mom sobbed. We thought you'd understand. You're so practical, Ethan. You'll find a way. Find a way? I snapped, my voice rising despite myself. Do you know how much I've sacrificed? I skipped prom to work. I didn't take spring break trips because I was saving for your promise. Dad stood, towering over me. Lower your voice. We're still your parents. Are you? I shot back, my chest heaving. Parents don't betray their kids like this. My eyes locked on the envelope in Mom's lap. What's that? I demanded, pointing. She hesitated, then slid it across the coffee table with trembling hands. I tore it open. Bank statements, Rachel's name, a trust fund transfer, $3 million dated 2 years ago. My stomach churned. They'd done this when I was 19, still promising me a future they'd already sold. I looked up, my voice barely a whisper. Why tell me now? Dad looked away, his jaw tight. Rachel's engaged. She's using the rest. For her wedding. We didn't want you to hear it from her. I stared at them, strangers in my home. Get out. Ethan, please, Mom begged, her voice breaking. Get out. They left, Mom's sobs echoing in the hallway as the door clicked shut. I sank onto the couch, the weight of their betrayal crushing me. My phone buzzed. Rachel, texting. Happy B-Day, lil bro. Miss you. I deleted it without responding, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped the phone. I didn't sleep that night. Rage burned through me, but I'm not a yeller, I'm a doer. By 3 a.m., I was on my laptop, scouring the bank statements for answers. Something didn't add up. My parents weren't rich. How had Grandpa left $3 million? At dawn, I called my Uncle Jeff, Mom's brother, waking him up. He was groggy but blunt. Your grandpa left $6 million total, half for you, half for Rachel. Your parents were trustees. My blood ran cold. They'd lied. There was a fund for me, $3 million legally mine. I spent the next week in a haze, barely eating, calling lawyers between shifts at the hardware store. Most said I needed proof of mismanagement, but one, a grizzled guy named Carl, took me seriously. If they transferred your trust without your consent, that's fraud, he said, scratching his beard. But it's a long shot. Family cases are messy. I didn't care. I hired Carl, draining my savings for the retainer. He filed a request for trust records, and I kept digging on my own. Rachel's Instagram was a goldmine. Posts about her dream loft in Portland, a sleek new BMW, a European art retreat, all time-stamped after the transfer. She wasn't spiraling, she was living like a queen. I saved every screenshot, my anger growing with each one. I confronted my parents via email, copying Carl to keep it official. I know about Grandpa's trust. I know you stole my share. I'm taking legal action unless you explain. Dad called within an hour, furious. You're tearing this family apart over money? He barked. I hung up, my hands trembling. Mom texted, Please, Ethan, let's talk. Rachel didn't know it was yours. I didn't reply. Their words felt like sandpaper on an open wound. The hardest part was Rachel. Despite everything, I loved her. She'd been my big sister, the one who'd sneak me candy when I was grounded, who'd cry on my shoulder when her high school boyfriend dumped her. I called her, forcing my voice to stay steady. Did you know the money was mine? She paused. Too long. Mom said it was family money, she said, her voice small. I was in a bad place, Ethan. Bad place, I scoffed. You bought a BMW. I needed stability, she cried, her voice rising. You don't get how hard it is to be an artist. And I don't get to be an engineer because of you, I said, my throat tight. Enjoy your wedding. I hung up, shaking, tears burning my eyes for the first time since that night. Carl's next call was a lifeline. The trust records showed my parents had forged my signature to authorize the transfer. It was enough for a case. I filed a lawsuit against them for fraud and breach of fiduciary duty, my hands steady as I signed the papers. It felt like signing away my family, but they'd left me no choice. They'd chosen Rachel over me. Now, I was choosing myself. The lawsuit hit like a wildfire in a dry field. Mom called daily, her voicemails a mix of sobs and pleas. Ethan, we're sorry. We'll find a way to pay you back. Please drop this. I deleted them without listening. To the end. Dad sent one email, cold and final. You're no son of mine. It hurt more than I expected, like a blade twisting in my chest. But I'd already lost them. Rachel was worse. She posted a cryptic Instagram story. Some people care more about money than family. Her friends flooded my DMs with venom. Greedy, selfish, how could you sue your parents? I blocked them all, but the messages stung. Boise's small, and gossip travels fast. At work, co-workers started whispering behind my back. My manager, a kind older guy named Pete, pulled me aside one day. "You okay, Ethan? Heard about your folks." I nodded, but I wasn't okay. I was a walking wound, held together by spite and determination. The legal process was agonizingly slow, but Carl was a bulldog. 6 months in, we got a court order freezing Rachel's remaining funds, about $1.2 million. She'd burned through nearly $2 million in 2 years on her lavish lifestyle. Her fiance, some tech bro named Dylan, dumped her when the money ran dry. She called me, hysterical, her voice raw. "You ruined my life. Dylan was my future." "You ruined mine first," I said, my voice flat, and hung up. I felt no satisfaction, just a hollow ache. My parents hired a lawyer, but their defense was flimsy. They claimed they'd acted in good faith to save Rachel's mental health. The judge wasn't impressed. At the first hearing, Mom broke down in court, her voice shaking as she admitted they'd lied to avoid favoritism accusations. Dad just stared at the floor, his face a mask of shame. The judge ordered mediation, but I refused. I didn't want their apologies. I wanted what was mine. Family friends turned on me like I was the villain. My Aunt Karen called me heartless, saying I was destroying the family. Uncle Jeff was the only one who stayed neutral, his voice gruff but kind over the phone. "Your parents screwed up, kid, but this won't fix your heart." He was right, but I couldn't stop. The betrayal wasn't just about the money. It was years of being the afterthought, the kid who got scraps while Rachel got the world. Rachel tried one last time, showing up at my apartment unannounced 8 months into the case. She looked rough, no makeup, hair tangled, her usual glow gone. "I'm sorry, Ethan," she said, tears streaking her face. "I didn't know it was yours at first, but I needed it." "Needed it for what?" I asked, my voice cold. "Your 5th trip to Paris? Your designer bags?" She sobbed, but I didn't budge. I didn't. "You're my sister, Rachel," I said, my voice low. "But you're not my family anymore." I closed the door, her cries muffled as I leaned against it, my chest tight. I didn't cry, but I wanted to. The case settled a year later, on my 22nd birthday, ironic, almost cruel. My parents agreed to repay $2.8 million funded by selling their house and liquidating Rachel's remaining trust. I got $2 million up front, the rest in payments over 5 years. Rachel got nothing. Her share was long gone. The judge scolded my parents for gross misconduct but didn't press criminal charges. I didn't push for it. Jail wouldn't undo the damage. They moved into a small apartment, their reputation in Boise tarnished. Neighbors who once adored them now whispered about their greedy son, but I didn't care what they thought. I transferred to Boise State, debt-free, and started my engineering degree. The money gave me a new start, a modest apartment, a used truck, no more grueling night shifts. But it didn't fill the void. Every tuition payment reminded me of their lies. Every quiet night in my apartment echoed with the family I'd lost. I don't talk to my parents. Mom sends letters, long handwritten pages I don't open. Dad's silent, his absence louder than his words ever were. Rachel's off social media, reportedly couch surfing in Seattle, her art career dead. I don't wish her ill, but I don't care enough to check. Uncle Jeff invited me for Thanksgiving, his voice warm but cautious. I declined, said I had exams. The truth was, holidays feel empty now, like a stage missing its actors. I spend them studying, or hiking Idaho's trails, the vast silence of the mountains a better companion than memories. I started therapy a few months ago, prodded by a professor who noticed I was too focused in class. It helps, but some days, I still hear Dad's voice. "You're no son of mine." I wonder if I'm proving him right by cutting them off, but trust doesn't grow back once it's been ripped out by the roots. The money's a lifeline, but it's tainted, like fruit from a poisoned tree. I'm building a future, Graduation in 2 years, maybe a job in renewable energy, a life I can call mine. But it's a solitary one. My family's gone. Not because I sued, but because they chose who mattered more. I was never their priority, and that's the wound that won't heal. Sometimes I dream of them. Mom's tearful apology, Dad's gruff regret, Rachel's genuine remorse. We're at the old house, laughing over pizza like nothing ever broke. But I wake up, and it's just me, the hum of my apartment's heater, the weight of a victory that feels like defeat. I tell myself I'm okay with that. I have to be.